Hey, you're listening to youwithoutyourhead.com, and this is Michael Berryman. Don't touch that dial.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Sofia Black-D'Elia.
D'Elia, yeah, nice one.
Oh, thank you. From the film Viral. And
That's right.
yeah, it's coming out in select theaters July 29th and DVD in demand August 2nd. Can you give people listening an idea of what the movie's about?
Yeah, the movie is about a young girl, kind of nerdy, kind of shy, moves to a new town, and weird shit starts happening, and she kind of gets trapped in her house with her big bitch of a sister.
What interested you in the movie?
What interested me in the movie was working with Henry and Rel, who I loved Catfish. They did great work on the paranormal movies that they worked on, and I just my first audition with them, I just knew that we'd all get along, and wanted to work with Annalie Tipton as well, and it just kind of seemed like a fun group of people to get involved with.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you work with co-directors, do they work? Is it different than work with a single director? I would think there's a possibility they could butt heads, or what is that like?
I think that I thought that that's what was going to happen, and then in fact they kind of work as one human being, which doesn't make any sense, but it's really easy to be around. They don't butt heads. If they do, it's in private. And so it's actually kind of fun because you get two sets of ideas and you get to try twice as many things, and they're really fun together. So yeah, it was definitely way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Now, when you're in a movie that's either supernatural or about a horror movie, how do you go about when you're going to act in that movie? I would think you'd want to keep it instead of being too over the top. You'd want to keep it more grounded, which would add realism to the to what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's funny because Michael Kelly and I talked about this a lot on set with my dad, and he's such a great actor. And we talked about how these kinds of things are so much harder than you think because, on one hand, you have to tell the story, that's your job. And then on the other hand, you want it to feel as real as possible, while outrageous things are happening around you. So I think it's a tricky balance, and I think that's part of what makes it fun.
Yeah. Now, from the trailer and some of the scenes I've seen, there's like a virus in the movie, which is something I think people could relate to. That because that would be more real than like some crazy monster in a film. Do you think that adds to the horror of the movie and for people to get into it?
I think that it's scarily realistic. This movie, obviously, the way that the parasite behaves is kind of like the gross supernatural aspect of it, but the idea that these kids would be quarantined and this town would be quarantined, I think is all too believable. And it does feel very small town America, I think, in that way, which I think is what makes it scary. It's not so much, this thing is disgusting, I'm afraid of it. It's what if something like this happened to my town? And I think that's what makes it terrifying.
Yeah. You talked about that, like in your town, a small town thing. Did you have a lot of chemistry with the actress who plays your sister?
I did, yeah. We became friends so quickly, and she's such a great actress and a lovely person. And actually, we ended up being roommates for the past year and a half in New York City together. Oh, wow. The whole thing was kind of a bonding experience. We get along really well.
Yeah. Any funny stories with you two from the set or together outside of the movie?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. It's now been almost 2 years since we shot it, so I think all of my funny stories are unfortunately lost on me at the moment, but we did have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe too much fun.
When do you have a sister in real life, and like does that go through your mind, like if this was happening with my real life sister or real life friend,
Yeah, you know what? I have a big brother who also thought I was a dweeb and still does my whole life. So that relationship was pretty easy for me to tap into. And I think what Annalie and I were really conscious of was making that relationship feel as real as possible, which means they hate each other until some shit actually goes down and then, you're sick as Steve. And I think that's how my brother and I would be as well.
Yeah. You said you filmed it like 2 years ago. Well, what were your thoughts when you saw the? Well, I assume you've seen the finished film, and with the score added and the effects and everything.
I think the effects are really cool. I was really happy to see that they weren't super overdone and it wasn't in your face and that kind of thing. I think it's actually subtle, which matches what we tried to do with the emotional storyline of the film, which is make it a kind of a subtle, real high school story. And I think when I saw the things that I had been imagining in my head, they were downplayed, which I like. I think it's creepier that way.
Yeah. Are you a fan of horror films?
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, cool.
I wouldn't have done this movie if I wasn't. I think if you go into these things tongue in cheek with an attitude, I think that's when you get into real trouble. I think you have to love them and have to hope that they come out.
Yeah. Now,
great.
What are some of your favorites?
That's a good question. I had a very vivid memory of my grandmother showing me Psycho when I was 6, and
Awesome.
I wouldn't shower for 2 weeks, and I think that has kind of haunted me my entire life.
Uh-huh.
So, all of those things kind of stuck with me. Rosemary's Baby is, I think, still probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I like when you remember the story as much as the jump scare. I feel like those things fade, but they, like good characters, I think, are what went out in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I'm lucky enough to be around a theater that shows old movies, midnight movies, and actually, for Halloween a couple years ago, they showed Psycho, which was great to see on the big screen. And Rosemary.
It's fun to watch those things again. Like Birds, I just recently rewatched, and I was like, damn, it still got me. Like I'm still terrified.
Yeah. You mentioned, watching that with your grandmother when you were 6. So did you grow up watching, films since you were a kid?
I did, yeah. My grandmother was so instrumental in that. Like she was never allowed to show me the things that she did. I know that she got in trouble often. But I remember her showing me Psycho and Godfather and all of these movies when I was really little, and some of my fondest memories. I definitely started at a young age.
Mm-hmm. That is your grandmother still alive?
She is, yeah, and she is not looking forward to this one. She's really disgusted by it.
Yeah. What's her reaction been like to see you, showing these movies to you when you're a kid, and now you're in movies?
Yeah, my family is so supportive of me, and they're so thrilled that I do something that I really enjoy doing. My family all. I come from a lot of hardworking, do it because you have to, not because you love it kind of family. And so the fact that I get to do something that I actually really enjoy is kind of mind-blowing to them, and they're all really happy for me.
Yeah. So,
which is nice.
What do you, or for yourself, what attracts you to a horror movie, and why do you think so many people are into, being scared?
It's funny. I just feel like it's a roller coaster effect,
Mm-hmm.
Life can get pretty boring and pretty mundane, and what's more fun than getting, a jolt to your system?
Mm-hmm. What are some of the other horror films or similar films that you've been in that people could check out?
I think this is actually my first time doing anything like this in this genre, so it's been really fun for me, and it was kind of an experiment. I've done a lot of kind of sci-fi type stuff like that. I did a movie called Project Almanac, which is found footage time travel, and I did a TV show called The Messengers, which was kind of like intense, supernatural, maybe too far. But this was my first time doing anything in the horror realm, and it was really fun.
Even though this isn't like a zombie movie, there's a lot of similarities between, like The End of the World and and breakouts and things, and that's been popular for the last 10 years or so. Why do you think that is?
That's an interesting question. I think that I grew up reading a lot of 70s science fiction, so in my mind it's always been popular. But now I think it's coming out more in this like teen dystopic way, which makes it more popular. I think that people especially weirdo, or like, weird writers that I like have always written about this sort of thing. And now it just seems to be like the teen trend. And I don't know if that's because people are really worried and are more in touch with kind of like the disaster world. I think that has a lot to do with social media and those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, like, if you go back to like 1984 and that kind of stuff, it's kind of always been going down.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite book, by the way. What's been what was the hardest scene to shoot in the movie?
The hardest scene to shoot, I don't want to give anything away, but I have to make a brutal decision to save my own life. And it was a very hard scene to shoot because the stakes were really high, and it was one of those moments, like you were saying, where you have to kind of bring the realism into something outrageous, where this unfathomable event was happening, and I kind of had to figure out how to play it in a somewhat believable way. And that felt like a real challenge to me, which ended up actually being really great. But
yeah. You mentioned your grandma's not looking forward to see it because I assume she's scared. But what's the reaction been like for people who have gotten to see the film? I know it's not out, for everyone yet.
Yeah, it hasn't been out, but the initial reaction has been really positive. I think the people like the sister relationship in the story, and it's kind of like a slow burn, weird comic book vibe to the film, and I think that people have responded well to that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm hoping that that it finds its own little audience, which I think, when these movies are done well, they tend to do.
Mm-hmm. I think the trailer has done really well. I think that that's trailer is what interests someone to go see it or not. So it's done very well.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Now, I also mentioned you're going to be in Ben-Hur that's coming up. If you can, just say anything about that film.
Yeah, Ben-Hur is coming out in about a month now. Really excited to see it. I actually haven't seen that film yet. And, it's kind of this like crazy epic life or death tale, which I also find really fun and challenging as an actor. And Jack Houston plays Ben-Hur, who's a phenomenal actor, and I think really carries his own in this film. And I think it'll be really fun. It's directed by Timur Bemetikov, who is kind of a very stylistic genre-type director who tends to make things feel really exciting and fresh. And I think that's what he's done with Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, and that's such a huge classic, the original one. I think is it nerve-wracking at all, or to be in the remake of something that is like iconic?
Yeah, I think the things that everybody felt nervous about on this movie were the chariot race, the iconic chariot race sequence, and doing justice to the traditional story, which is kind of religious actually. And so for me, it was quite easy to jump in because in the original film, the female characters are very downplayed. They're only in a few scenes, and they don't have a lot of lines, and they're not really prominent in it at all. So from where I was sitting, I was like, I can't really go wrong. So I think it was an easier undertaking for me than it was for, say, Jack or Toby, who are stepping into pretty big shoes as far as the male characters are concerned.
Yeah. And was it a physically demanding movie to make for you?
No, it was pretty easy for me. We don't get to ride any of the horses. So I was just chilling in Italy for a while, watching everybody else work their ass off.
Yeah. You didn't jump in a chariot and get a selfie or anything?
I did not. Now that you say it, I wish I
had. Where can people find you? Which I don't mean it like your home, but if they want to follow you like on the internet.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Twitter, and it's just my full name, Sofia Black-D'Elia, for both.
Awesome. So that's easy to find. We'll link up on the website. And I want to thank you for coming on, and everyone should definitely check out Viral. I think if you could see in the theater, it's going to be sweet. For me, that's the best way to see a movie. That'll be July 29th. But
I'm with you 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how a movie's supposed to be seen. And you, plus, about that, you can't escape. It's right there in front of you, so you're not going on Facebook or Twitter and doing a bunch of other things. It's right there.
That's right. Yeah, you get to immerse yourself completely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.
This is Michael Kenworthy from Return of the Living Dead Part 2, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.